Right, welcome everybody to our full council meeting on Monday, the 4th of September 2023. Item 1 is the Mayor's welcome. As you may notice, Councillor Tyler can't be with us this evening, so I'm standing in his place. Moving swiftly on, apologies for absence. We've received apologies from Councillor Edward Tyra, Councillor Deborah Lane, Councillor Peter Wenham, and was that everyone? Yeah, and Councillor Philip Leslie as well.
Apologies, Chair. I'm here.
Oh, hello. Declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations they would like to declare? I do on the item 8A, the payment to the Christmas Light Committee. I will be declaring a pecuniary interest as it's financial. So we'll be leaving the room. If someone could just fill in Vera, if you're the closest and don't mind.
I will be declaring the same pecuniary interest.
So it's Councillor S. Taylor as well, and Councillor J. Ellis. Any other interests that anyone?
You don't want me to be in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. That's that. Moving on, item 4, Love Your Market Town Fund, and we're handing over to Councillor Paul Classen for the update on that.
Well, briefly from me, thank you, Chair. We'll be brief. So this Love Your Market Town Fund is an initiative which came to us from County, and County Fabian Eagle came and said, would we be interested in joining them to do a partnership pilot? And the idea is that we want to give seed funding to try and find just different ways that the fund might enable small groups to make a difference. The one that springs to mind that we did fund in Dereham was where it's a community knitters got together, and they did they covered up bollards, they covered up all sorts of things. And it really was a talking point, and it really did make a difference. And it absolutely brought, I suppose, about a dozen people together to actually do it, which was great. So it's that kind of initiative that we're looking for. So we're going out and really we're asking for people to come to us, and then there will be some criteria. And Andrew will take you through all of that. But I think that's enough of a broad brushstroke for me as to what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. And if you would do the detail, Andrew, please.
Super, thank you, Paul. I'm not a conscious agenda. I'll do the very brief details. So, as Paul says, this is a bit of pilot activity that we're glad to be able to bring forward to Breckland. It doesn't exist in other parts of the county, but the county council are keen to understand if it can work, so it can be grown. And very simply, it's just about small grants into community groups or potentially organisations like town councils who want to bring forward new activity to put on in the towns that can help generate footfall, generate interest, generate activity. The design is hopefully quite simple. It's not about lots and lots of forms. There's an expression of interest form which is on our website and the county council's website. We can share the links on the back of this, asking for short expressions of interest by the 22nd of September. And the intention being a kind of Dragon's Den panel made up of a few members of the county council and district council and a business representative will help just identify the right things to support, and we can push some funding into activity across the district. The criteria is deliberately quite broad because it's just about creating good ideas and good things, but applications are open from anyone, including town councils. Although we're sort of coming to you today just to make sure you're aware of it, send things you do to share it, and if you were particularly interested in it. I know some other town councils said they would, others more interested in seeing what community they've got to do. The only real criteria is that it needs to be something new, or certainly not kind of replacing funding of something that's existing, and that there's a degree of deliverability that the group is confident about, and that it will help create a positive impact in a town. Things like match funding is not essential, but I guess it'll help demonstrate that the idea is good. Ideally, this is looking for activity that will start within a few months of awards. Certainly, it's intended that this will happen by April of next year. So potentially, this works quite well for ideas coming into the Christmas period. And our hope from a district council in being able to support this is it something that can be grown and done at scale and keep going? So whilst the kind of financial investment in this is relatively modest, and we'd like to be talking to you about the kind of significantly more zeros of investment that we can plan for Asper, it feels like a good thing to be starting with. So I guess, yeah, we will push around the link to town council on the back of this, but we just wanted to be here so you knew about it, ahead of time, and if there are any questions that you have for us. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Councillor McKinnon.
Does it have to be a new project or can it be money spent on an existing project?
So there is criteria that says it needs to be a new idea. I suppose the thing we're particularly looking at wanting to make sure is it's not just replacement of something that wasn't going to happen anyway. Like sort of not the Christmas lights that that kind of thing, but if it's an enhancement to or something, or an idea that happened before but could be brought back, I think that's fine. The key is just that it's not. It needs to be in something additional.
Any further questions? Councillor Bond.
Yeah, sorry, I did look at the briefing. You're looking, as far as the figures are concerned, what's the sort of figures?
So that's a great point, and it's relatively modest. It's ideas of up to £1,000 for grants.
Anyone else? No. Okay. Well, it's certainly on our radar now, whether councillors pursue this as a town council or whether or not we make referrals to other local community clubs, groups and organisations that we think might be interested in applying and hopefully delivering something for our town. I think it's a brilliant initiative and thank you very much for both coming and giving us your time this evening. If you would like to leave, you're very welcome to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing the ideas.
Thank you. Moving swiftly on, item 5, public participation. We have 10-minute allocation on the agenda for this. Who would like to go first? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I did mention to Councillor Fraser just outside if it's the right forum to ask this question. It's about traffic flow around the town. And we've also got 4 routes in and out of the town. But there still is a pinch point which constantly causes trouble. And it's the one-stop shop, it's Sainsbury's, and it's the vehicles that deliver them. They still park right across where there's in and out to Sainsbury's, there's a crossing, and at busy times it really does back the traffic up down to the station, back through to past ATS on that road as well. Now they're open 5 till 11. I don't know whether there's any way in which town council can approach them and ask them to arrange for their deliveries to be early or late, not during the busy times of the day. Because it really is a pinch point which needs dealing with, in my opinion.
Councillor De Souza.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you make, and I believe there is a zigzag on there, which actually makes it an endorsable offence to park there.
No one's ever been ticketed for it.
So it could be a police matter. I believe that's endorsable.
Rather than using the stick, should we not approach them and say, look, we know you've got staff here, your doors are open, can you not? And at that time, I don't think the shop next door is open, so they could even use that little loading bay area there if they were able to. Just to take that pinch point out of the town at busy times.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Councillor Taylor.
I think actually something, although you make a good point, Dom, I think sometimes they do actually park a little bit further up now, actually on the cobblestone, like so the cabs on the cobblestone is outside the houses and the trailer is more outside the shop. But we could just send them a polite letter, but some of us are meeting with our county council later on in the month, and we could also ask him if that's okay. Maybe we could also drop him a letter from the office to our county councillor asking him for some support and insight into it, and then us, those members that will be meeting with him later in the month, can also endorse it again.
I think it's worth asking some questions because it conflicts with the traffic and it could be dangerous as well. Obviously, the crossing is there, kids are crossing there, a lot of old folk are crossing there, and that when the lorry is there, it takes up half the road.
Thank you. Councillor McKinnon, and then I would like to revert this back to.
Mine's a very quick one. I'm playing devil's advocate. Is it likely that we're going to get objections from the residents there if they start to deliver too early or too late? Who's got?
Councillor Taylor, last comment.
I'm just going to say, Biffa do come through town at that sort of time in the morning, living in the town centre. And there are other places that do in the town centre have deliveries of that in the morning. So I would hope that residents, just, you live in a town centre, you get delivery.
Sharon, outside of the meeting, can we maybe just circulate something to members and just get an indicative view of whether or not they'd like to make representations on this? Okay. Does that seem like a fair way forward? Thank you.
Don't get me wrong, I totally agree.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Yes.
Yes, further to, excuse me, item 14, and I think this is linked to something raised by Councillor Taylor last month, where she spoke about a member of the public in possession of confidential Appleton Council documentation, and was concerned that paperwork was finding its way into the public arena. That was me. I attended Councillor Taylor's district council surgery, and I took with me confidential agency paperwork, but it's paperwork I received while I was a councillor in this council. I'm not aware of any protocol for dealing with council papers when you leave the council. But I felt it's important that everyone knows the situation, because I don't want you going into a discussion about this thinking that members of the public are gaining access to things that they shouldn't have, and making decisions on potentially misleading information.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. I actually think there may be, off the top of my head, a clause in the code of conduct that covers confidentiality, but I don't know if it extends to that. If it doesn't, then that's something that perhaps we should look at going forward. The item tonight, I think, is on how confidential papers should be distributed to members to stop that happening again. Any other comments? Anyone? No, well then we will move on. So moving on to item 6, which is the minutes of the town council meeting held on the 7th of August 2023. I'd like to check we've all read them in advance of the meeting, so can I please have a proposal on seconder or any amendments that you'd like to make? Councillor D'Souza, is that a proposal for their acceptance? And a seconder, Councillor Dale, and a show of hands, please. That is unanimous. Moving on, I've got item 7, which is planning matters, planning applications agreed and responses made for confirmation. So if I could have a proposer and seconder for that, please. Councillor Bond, seconded by Councillor McKinnon, and a show of hands. Okay, and can I have it noted that I abstain as a member of the council? Item 7B, that's planning applications not due yet for consideration and resolution. The first on the list is item 3OB 2023-0035 DOB Attleborough land at Haverscroft House Farm, London Road. Does anyone have any objections?
I just want to say, tell Sharon from these ones that I will be abstaining because I'm a substitute from the planning. Yeah.
No objections? No. Okay, next is item 2 on the list, that's 3OB 2023-0032 OB Attleborough land to southwest of Ellingham Road. Any objections, please? No. None. 3PL 2023-0397 rather, BAR Attleborough, Whitebourne Barn, West Car Road. Any objections? None. 3PL 2023 8033 HOU, that's Attleborough 12 Barley Way. Any objections? None. And lastly, 3OB 2023-0037 DOB Attleborough land at Haverscroft House Farm, London Road. Any objections? And can we have a proposal and seconder, please? Councillor Tristan Ashby, seconded by Councillor John Taylor, to give no objections and those planning applications received today. Oh, we didn't do a show of hands, did we? Oh, I abstained.
Yeah.
There we go. Item 8, financial matters to authorise payments. Are we all in agreement that Councillor Dale can take the chair in my absence?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Will you just please note that councillor Harris is unwell and can't be? Yes. But will be abstaining as well.
Well done, then.
Left it over there. Just give me it's the Christmas lights one, really, but yeah.
Doing what the,
Just the thanks, Andy. But it's the. Are there any queries of any, have you all looked at payments for September? We've all studied them and nobody's got any queries. You're all happy?
So there's one which was,
Which one?
No,
Have you got it,
I
Roger?
think that was it was a registered book, yes, it
Oh,
was
they-
Shaw and Sons New Burial Registered Book,
Yeah,
£605.
yeah.
Just wondered what that was.
Yeah, the very lovely book. Is that what it costs?
Yeah.
Great, yeah,
Very important record.
yeah,
Okay,
Very
so
important.
that's the standard.
but it
Yeah.
does last a lot of years.
Yeah.
It probably lasts 10 years.
Well, yeah.
So if you break it down.
£60 a year.
it's
Yeah.
not long.
And then
Okay.
you keep
And
the
they
archives
are
forever.
Yes, they are. Yes.
And they
It
are,
was just a query, because it
they are
didn't see.
registered of all the various.
I must admit, I looked at the same thing.
Yes.
No,
But
it's a,
they are bespoke, really, to be honest.
I would say it is a specialist
I
book.
don't think you could do that.
Any others that people or councillors would like to query? Are you all happy with bills and checks?
Yes.
And I have a proposal to accept them, please. Councillor Ashby, can I have a seconder, please? So you can, those in favour? And you got to abstain, Joe,
Okay.
because of the
Yeah.
thing.
I'll say
Okay,
unanimous.
yeah, yeah, that's fine. Excuse me.
Thanks.
Very professional, that is.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So we're now on 8B.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. So thank you, councillor Dale. Item 8B to agree direct debits. Do we have a proposer and seconder for the acceptance of those payments, please? Councillor McKinnon, seconded by councillor Westby, and a show of hands, please. That's unanimous, thank you very much. To receive our income, that's for acceptance and approval. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Councillor Taylor, seconded by councillor Ashby, and a show of hands, please. Oh, S Taylor.
Yeah. And who was the second?
Councillor Ashby, sorry. That's okay. Oh, there's a lot on the agenda, so I'm just really,
No, that's fine.
really keen to get through it quickly.
That's unanimous.
Yeah, that was, thank you. Petty cash, that is for information. Is there any queries? Councillor D'Souza, oh, no?
Proposal.
Oh, no, that's for information only, but
Oh,
thank you very much.
Sorry.
Our income and expenditure for July 2023, that's for information. And then additional signatories for our bank account for consideration and resolution. Anne, would you like to lead on this? Who do we have at the moment?
We have councillor Tyler, councillor Leslie, myself, and councillor Dale. But for internet banking, we need two signatures on any payments. Oh, sorry, councillor Dale, but councillor Dale doesn't do internet banking, sorry. So now the previous clerk has left, we've lost a signatory, so basically I'm down to councillor Leslie and councillor Tyler.
Okay.
So we need more.
How many do you think would be appropriate? Maybe
I think we
two?
need at least two, please.
You can show me.
Okay, so, but which,
It's ever so easy.
should we,
That's quite happy to do with it.
Yeah.
so,
But if you have sickness and holiday, you know, and then we've got no one to authorise the payment, then.
I do internet banking for myself.
so are we saying that there's consensus to keep you on and you're able to
I'm
do
quite,
that?
yes, I'll
Yes,
see
that's
Anne
fine.
and go through.
Yeah.
Councillor Taylor?
Do you need us to come into the office and do it with you, or do
Yeah.
we do it from home?
No, you're, you get a card reader and you can do it like remotely at home, you don't have to come in the office.
Do we have any volunteers? Is there anyone present that would? Councillor,
I'm free all day.
okay,
Some of us are old and retired.
and is there anyone else that would, has the desire to do
Well,
this?
obviously, I'm free or I'm about all the time, but if Councillor Dowse and Councillor McKinnon is, do you need that much? That's 4 then.
Well, that gives us 4. Do you think 4 was enough? If we take
Oh,
Councillor
definitely.
McKinnon as well and keep Councillor down?
If Councillor Day will come in the office and see me.
I think it's just because you've never been shy about like Zoom meetings and stuff. You much prefer the old fashioned ways.
Yes,
don't
I
you?
do, but I am quite
So-
capable.
Okay, so
Yeah,
are we all in
I
agreement?
didn't mean that, Councillor Day.
Not quite a dinosaur.
Can I please have a proposer and seconder for Councillor Dale and Councillor McKinnon? Councillor Ashby, seconded by Councillor Jay Taylor, and a show of hands, please.
Can I vote for myself?
You can? That is then unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Moving on, we've got item 9, to note the appointment and to declare a named proper officer until such time as a full-time clerk is appointed for consideration and resolution. This is Sharon's first meeting with us. For anyone that doesn't know, I should have introduced you. Welcome, actually. I do apologise.
Okay,
Not rude.
I'm trying to introduce myself as it came in.
Everyone, members of the public, councillors, this is Sharon. She is our local clerk for the time being. And the item on the agenda, item 9, would be to appoint Sharon as the named proper officer. Can I please have a proposer and seconder to do so? That's Councillor Tristan Ashby, seconded by Councillor Vera Dale, and a show of hands, please. And that is also unanimous. Item 10 is for a separate planning committee. So this has come as a recommendation off the back of our last meeting where it was discussed and put forward as a agenda item for this evening to separate the planning committee into its own committee to relieve some of the agenda for full council. We did many moons ago have a separate planning and highways committee, which would meet every other week, twice a week, the first and third Monday of the month. And that way we also didn't have to have the planning applications that had been agreed and responses made then confirmed and ratified. I would very much welcome it. I know that Councillor Tyra's view on this is that he would prefer it to be amalgamated into environment, as he thinks there's a close link between planning and the environment. But I actually think we're making a lot of highways representations at the minute as a town council, as we've heard in the public participation section this evening, and that perhaps a planning and highways would be appropriate. But I'll open the floor and see what members think. Councillor Taylor, then Councillor Dale, then Councillor Bond. Okay, Councillor Dale.
I think a separate planning where you can actually look at things. We used to have the plans outside so you could see exactly what was what. But if we have a smaller planning, or not necessarily smaller, but have a plan, if there's anything that really is, we feel is controversial, there's no reason we can't do what we used to do, go and actually have a physical look at it to see where it fits, you know, whether it looks the same as it does or you think it does. And I think sometimes that's important, that you can say to somebody, well, I have been and looked, and yes, we'll sit. You don't have to do it for everyone, it's just the one. But I don't think personally we give planning I know we're not the planning authority, but I don't think we give it the time and that we should. When you two know, and other people, when you sit in the planning meetings in Breckland, other councils actually take a bigger interest in what's happening in their town than we appear to do. When you listen to what you know, the remarks of people that go in and speak on behalf or against, whichever. I think we don't do justice to our planning. That's just a personal.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Councillor Taylor?
I obviously, I said it last month that I feel other communities do look into it more than we do, and we don't give our planning as much consideration, because it's okay when you're looking at it online, but like Vera said, when we used to have the plans laid out, getting here like a little bit early, look through them, it just makes it a little bit more understandable sometimes than when you're going through it online. So I would endorse that, but I would also say that putting the planning and highways back together rather than just a planning committee would be a good idea.
Councillor Bond, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did, yes. No, I totally agree. I think really as planning and highways as a separate committee, I think is sensible. Whether it could then be amalgamated into environment as the time comes, but I think at the moment, I think it would be sensible to have a separate committee.
Councillor Ashby and then Councillor Westby.
Well, unfortunately, on the other end. So before I was on this council, you used to have separate planning. I think you need to revisit why you felt the need to change it and amalgamate it into this. Another thing is with regards to what's gone on with the clerk and having more discussions with Anne and Sharon. It's clear that a lot of the workload is when you have additional meetings and all the additional stuff that comes with that. I think you need to be mindful of that. The fact of the matter is we are a statutory consultee, and that is all we are. I've gone to planning. I've never sat on planning, but I've gone to planning, normally objecting. And the influence a town or parish council has is minimal. And by giving a separate planning committee kudos, the perception is we've got a big influence. There's a big perception out there still that we grant and refuse planning applications, which we clearly don't. I think you're making a rod for your own back in terms of the perception issue. I think you're going to make a rod for the back of the admin staff. For what benefit? It'll be a talking shop because the influence we've got is minimal. Sorry.
Councillor Westby.
I'll go back full circle again. I think it's quite useful to have a separate planning committee and certainly bring highways in as well. I mean, from a professional point of view, I think, you know, we need to direct comments to the council, or to Norfolk County Council on highway issues. And it'd be useful to have a focal point as well for them to come back.
Councillor Taylor.
Not obviously wanting to offend Councillor Ashby, but recently actually I did sit on a planning committee at Breckland, and actually members did listen to the chair of one of the parish councils that had come along to speak out, and actually from listening to that and members taking that on board, conditions were actually put into the planning application on the back of their concerns. So although we don't grant and we don't have big muscles to, and we ain't got the guns to go in there, sometimes the little representations can make the differences to those tweaks. Sorry. And it was amalgamated because that at that point it was members didn't want 2 meetings a month, only wanted 1 meeting a month.
It was actually all of the council's committees at the time were put into full council. So we lost GPNF, we lost planning and highways, we lost environment. They lost them all under Tony Crouch's chairmanship, and the only committee that remained was the AMP and personnel, and there was quite a lot of push to actually keep that separate. Councillor J Taylor.
Yeah, I'd personally like to see us as a council have a voice at planning, although we might not be able to enforce what we believe in, but at least we might get heard. And a little bit of information might be taken on board.
A lot of chairs and a lot of clerks do attend the planning committee and speak on applications. It would be nice if we did share that sometimes. Councillor Westby.
Just to add, I mean, I think the we need to show more interest in what's being said. And we'll also then come out to it with knowledge as to what's going on as well. I mean, for example, the bus stops down London Road, they're ridiculous. Yeah, I'd like to think we could have sorted something out about
Yeah,
that, at least highlighted it.
my personal view is that actually, although we are only a statutory consultee and we have no abilities really in planning or in highways or anything like that, other than making representations, 9 times out of 10, our representations at present are, and to be fair, like tonight is only like one example of this, but it's no objections, no objections. I think if we were looking closer and had a focus on planning highways outside of tonight's agenda, which is very long, very full, and actually, I know we got through it quite quickly tonight, but if there was something that was on there of interest that we wanted to debate, it would make what's already going to be a long meeting even longer. And I 100% take on board your comments regarding, you know, the pressures of the office and having an extra committee. But we already have meetings the first and third Monday of the month, and I wouldn't expect this to change that and have additional evenings. I would expect half an hour to be set aside prior to full council this evening and half an hour before environment on the third Monday of the month is what I would envision. I don't know if Sharon or Anne, if you actually want to give any comments.
No, my only comment is we always used to get plans through the post from Breckland, but that stopped. So now you're saying you used to look at them when I laid them out. There aren't any plans now to lay out.
They don't
So
receive them in that
We
format
don't
anymore.
get anything, but yeah,
There's a way to do it. You
Yeah,
could
that's
actually
right.
have a screen so that you can connect your laptop and everyone sitting in the room can look at the screen and.
yeah, but you haven't actually got physical
And that wouldn't be too much work. That would be quite manageable.
Yeah, because so long as you've got a screen available, that is fine, because.
We do have this.
But you just do the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think most members at this point have passed comment. Would anyone like to make any proposals? Councillor McKinnon?
I would like to propose that we do have a planning committee and give it a try, and if it doesn't work, there's nothing that says we can't change it.
I was
Councillor
going to say, I think we ought to give it a try, or if we set a time, how many months we're going to do it, and reevaluate 6 months, yeah, and reevaluate it. So it's not cast in stone, we've got to do it forever. If it's not working, then we go back. I think I was second proposal to do a trial.
Is that just planning or planning and highways?
Planning and highways.
Planning and highways. Councillor Bond?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I think I agree with Councillor Ashby in that the perception has got to be managed because, you know, the town folk don't realise that we don't really have a say. But I think the idea of having planning and highways separately is so that we as councillors can look into it and make representation and perhaps, you know, visit Breckland more often to raise profile of the town. I think that's important.
Sharon, do you think could we have a note on agendas to say that we are not the planning authority, that we are a consultee, like, so that it's on the planning committee agendas? Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm mindful that we actually
Yeah.
have a motion
Yeah.
that's been put forward, so.
Going on from Councillor Bond, surely it's our place to actually inform the public what our role is. So therefore, we are not a planning authority, but we do take an interest in our town, and I think it's our place to actually put that out there, that we are not a planning authority.
Right, Councillor Taylor, last.
Can I
comment,
just
and
make
then
an
I make
amendment to their proposal, that it's a half an hour time, a half an hour meeting?
on the first and third Monday of the month?
Yeah, so on a trial period for 6 months, but it's half an hour, so we work to that time limit. And also maybe could Sharon or Anne tomorrow, with doing a Facebook post or a social media post saying we've reinstated that committee, although we do not have much influence, and then we can get it out there from the get-go in a nice social media.
That part doesn't need a
happy
motion,
with
but
that.
are you happy to carry
Yeah,
the
yeah.
amendments?
The only thing I was just going to add was we've already made our representations with our neighbourhood plan.
Mhm.
And I think this is where we've made our representations to Bretland, and it's up to us to ensure that the neighbourhood plan comes into consideration
Mm.
with planning.
And I think that this is a good way to get those references in there.
So, yes,
So-
I'm more than happy with councillor Taylor's
Amendments?
amendment to half an hour. I'm up for half an hour.
And that's councillor Mickennen's proposal, seconded by councillor Dale. And can I have a show of hands, please, everybody? And against?
How can it be recorded?
Yes, yes, of course.
What was that, just one, are you against?
We had 2 against, didn't we? Do you want to see it? Oh, okay.
No, I thought,
Oh, okay, sorry, I caught your hand, but obviously you haven't gone down.
One against.
Okay. Moving on, we have,
Sorry, Chair.
Oh,
So
sorry.
if that's the case, when when will it be formed and when will it be configured?
There's a lot to do now, isn't there? Because you've got to get terms of reference
I think,
and membership. Has to do so on.
it'll be after the next full council meeting to be able to appoint committee
Got to be
members.
there by the time.
So we'll have another, there'll be a bit of a delay, but
You've got to get terms of reference and then get your names on. You can do it today, but so long as the terms of reference comes in.
yeah, but that'll have to be agreed by full council.
Could we
so-
put the terms of reference on the agenda before the membership, so it's all done in the same night?
Yes, yeah. Okay, thank you, Roger, for raising that.
You have to actually, because the terms of reference will state how many people.
Yeah, perfect, thank you so much. And then we've got item 11, which is Carver's Lane, Alborough, for the public open space adoption. So this was actually discussed at our last full council meeting and was asked to go away and investigate whether or not there was any commuted sums attached to the land. And obviously, as you'll see from the papers, there is. So if members would like to debate, who would like to go first? Oh, don't all jump up at once.
I've got to find it first, because.
Oh, okay, I'll give you a minute. Sorry, guys. Councillor Taylor, have you got your hand up?
I was just going to say for members that didn't have it at hand, so the commuted sum is £53,752 is what the commuted sum is.
I think there is a note on there to say that
Currently.
it could change, but would be,
Yeah, it just says a summary of the contribution, 47,226, £8.50 per square metre. This would be index linked from 2016, currently 53,752. There is a landscaping link below.
councillor Bond.
Yeah, my only question is that, that's the figure, but it includes a play area, the play area, and obviously the land. So is that sufficient for us to carry out the work that's needed? That's the question.
Well, my understanding, and Sharon, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that it says, hang on, am I on the right page yet? In addition, I'm sure, hang on, bear with me, I'm trying to find the bit that I found. Oh, hang on, note there is an equipped area of play that would also come under your responsibility. So is that coming under our responsibility anyway? Or is it coming into our responsibility if we accept this?
I think if we accept this, that would include that play area that we'd have to maintain.
So it would be both coming,
That's how I read it.
and the play would be within the parcel
Yeah.
that's been identified.
I think they're just
Okay.
trying to make us aware that play area would need to be considered for that summer money. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anne, yeah. Roger?
But do we, that's how I read it as well.
Yeah.
But the question is that sufficient to look after it? That's the question, but I don't know whether we can answer that at the moment. But if we're being sold short, then we have to find a difference, won't we?
It will be new, it's a new development, so it'll be a new development, so you'd think it would probably have a life expectancy of X amount of years before it would have to start to be maintained. Obviously, it'd be like the Roscoe reports and the day-to-day maintenance and checks with the ground staff and the planning schedule. Councillor Taylor.
I'm actually concerned, is the play equipment already in situ? Because in May, had canvassing around that area, I actually can't recall seeing any play equipment there.
I don't think it's been installed yet, but I haven't been there since May,
No, I don't
so.
think there is any play equipment there, so.
That says in the critical area.
Yeah, it says, but I actually don't recall seeing any there.
Yeah. Councillor Ashby?
Are we on a time limit to make a decision, because it feels like we've not got all the information?
I think there was a date on the
25th.
previous email of September, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
25th of September.
When is our open spaces committee meeting? Because as long as you delegate it tonight, although that committee has full delegated powers, we could find that information out, have our.
That'd be Monday, the 18th.
Which would give us enough time to go back before our deadline, if members are minded to pass it on. The decision. But all members be circulated the information.
And what's the implication of us saying that?
The only implication would be that it would be maintained by a land management company. So basically, like, it would be maintained by the developer, I suppose.
Have they
Or
put that
company that, yeah, that was in the initial correspondence. But I think we've got, yeah, that's
But-
it.
I'm happy to propose what Councillor Taylor said, in terms of giving those to the other committee.
Yeah,
for
and see if we
decision, So we
can,
get the deadline.
well, it'd be nice to inquire, you know, what the, what play equipment would be in the area that would be coming in under our responsibility, wouldn't it? Because I think, yeah, initially I read it that there's also a play area, so I was actually viewing it as a separate area, but obviously the way that it actually reads is that it would be within that same area, so I think,
It depends if the play equipment's already installed, and if it's not installed already, that 53,000 quid's gone.
mm,
I would say that, logically speaking, it wouldn't be, you don't expect it to buy it as well, because you can get out to use it.
so you'd expect it to be the equipment and then the community sum,
Yeah.
the maintenance going forward.
And that's just the maintenance.
Can we please, councillor
I
Taylor,
was going to say, I'm happy to second councillor Ashby's proposal.
yeah, which is that we ask for additional information on what equipment is being provided,
So that decision can be made on the 18th.
so that a decision can be made on the 18th. Yeah. And that's councillor Tristan Ashby's proposal, seconded by councillor S Taylor, and show of hands, please. And that is also unanimous.
Excuse me, Chair, could I ask also that the £8.50 that per square metre that's mentioned, whether that's acceptable to the ground staff as far as costs are concerned, just to get a sort of a litmus test as to if that's the right sort of figure, please.
You want that in the proposal? Is that part of the proposal?
I think it's just additional
Just
information we'd like for
additional
consideration. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Moving on, we've got item 12, the hedge cutting quotes. I'd like to think that members did these good in favour ahead of the meeting. Has anyone got any preferences?
Are these any of the companies that we've used before, or do we have any working knowledge of any of them?
We've used Robert Palmer before,
And how was the service, Sam?
he was fine, I think John was, leaning more towards the, C. Yeah, I think. CGM, he came, they were quite professional, when they had a site visit.
BGM are quite good, they're down the market.
Yeah, he did come over quite professional, but I think they've now decided to cut just once a year. I think they were initially on the tender, they were asking to quote for 2 cuts a year, but they said that they really only need to cut once a year. So I think Robert has quoted 2.
Councillor S Taylor?
I was just going to say, I know recently Connaught Hall have used Dr. Stump, and I think from what they've been saying between their committee that they were quite happy. I didn't actually go down and look with that committee, but what the other members did say, they were quite impressed with him, so just a little bit of background knowledge.
Yeah, it's difficult to look at, I mean, the quotes come in and, yeah, it's always difficult for like, isn't it, by the time you break it all down, but it appears to me that CGM looked the most, economic. And if they're, yeah, they use them before, they seem sensible, so it seems sensible to use it, but, that's the end. Looking at the costs, you go for the lowest, wouldn't you?
I think, in respect to going for the lowest cost, I don't think that that's actually how we should be.
No,
conducting
best
ourselves.
value,
Best
quite right,
value.
best value,
I think
you're quite right.
best value,
Quite
100%. We'll just let the lesson on that, haven't we?
Yeah.
So yes. So is that a proposal, councillor Bond?
Yes, I will propose
CGM group,
draft out finals again.
and that's seconded by councillor Westby. And can I have a show of hands, please? And that is unanimous as well. Moving on to item 13, which is the October book sale. This was deferred again from our previous meeting. I appreciate that time is now getting a little bit short. Usually the book sale would be held, I think, the kind of Halloween last weekend in October. I know that certainly the first October one was. I don't know if anyone wants to correct me on
Tell
when
you
the
the
last
dates
one
that it
was.
was booked in for, if that helps.
For this year?
Yeah,
Oh, if you could please.
that it was planned for was, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th of October.
Okay, so realistically, that's one.
So set up on the 12th.
three.
With possibly, as we did before, an open evening for people with disabilities or anything like that. And then fully open on the 13th, 14th, 15th, closing sort of lunchtime on the 15th to pack away.
So that would give us, if we don't include this week, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd give us 5 weeks till the proposed date. Councillor Taylor.
I'm just saying the three of us won't be here because we will be in Ireland
that day.
Yes. So if you're wanting hands on tables, I'm just.
Well, I'm thinking, to be fair, if it is going to be in October, I know the first one was the last weekend in October, and that would give an additional 2 weeks as well for planning and organising and advertising. It's just really to see whether or not the council want to go ahead with this. I think it would be a great shame after how well received they've been previously to see them just fall apart now. And confirmed previously that all of the books are still in storage, are still available to us. We can start opening up for further collections. It's just really who would be prepared to volunteer. That's the only thing that matters. So can we have an indicative show of hands for who would actually put themselves forward? First of all, please.
Well, at the moment we've got was 12th, 13th, 14th, but.
Well,
that's
Friday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was given out on slips at the last one, when the next
Yeah,
one was.
it was.
You know, it was given out in their. bags and
okay.
given.
We
It
gave
was
them all
actually-
a bookmark with all the next.
Okay, with the next dates. So
Dates
that would
on.
be the thing. So you'd be, I'd have to put my hand down, and that would give 5 weeks, but as whether or not members then think that that's an achievable deadline to work to. And who would be,
The
again,
books are there,
the books are there, it's just advertising.
it's just advertising.
And making sure we've
But
got
not-
enough hands on deck.
Yeah,
So, but as councillor Taylor's just said, we wouldn't be available, so it's who would be. Can we just put our hands up if we would like to volunteer to help with this?
Put your hand up.
Oh, no, you can probably come help set up on that.
Yeah.
So
What, can I, may I have-
They'll use you to. Yeah.
what we actually need, the biggest help is on the setup day, which is the sort of Thursday
Thursday.
afternoon. And on the pack away day, which is the Sunday afternoon, because with the best will in the world, I don't mind stacking the books, but I'm not lifting the boxes anymore.
So we have present with us, and we've got, obviously, we're 4 members short tonight, and we already have 7 members that are prepared to volunteer and give their time to this. I'm sure there is other members of the community that would also support.
Yes.
We all have friends,
Yeah.
we all have
Yeah.
family. So, can we please have if we're happy to go ahead, and we're happy to go ahead on the previously advertised dates of the, what was it, 14th, 15th, 16th?
Yeah, set up on the 12th,
13th.
then open on the 13th, 14th and 15th, back away on the 15th.
Okay, all right, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm looking at September, not October.
We're in
sorry.
October.
Okay, so do we have a proposal, please?
Well, I'd
Councillor
like to
McKinnon?
propose that we go ahead.
And a
I'll
seconder?
second it.
Councillor Dowd, on a show of hands, please.
I'm making a note of who said they'd help.
Thank you.
I can't return that.
Everyone, you put your hands up in your own camera, so you're now accountable.
Yeah.
Um,
Seriously, if you could offer help on the Thursday and or the Sunday.
Yeah.
That would be the
Oh,
days.
Thursday, Sunday.
Sitting taking the money the other days is easy.
Okay, so moving on, we're on item 14, which is the private and confidential paperwork, which has already been touched on in public participation. It's just really, so as has already been highlighted, we receive private and confidential paperwork regularly. And when you cease to be a councillor or for any other reason, just as a safeguard really to ensure that it doesn't end up in the wrong hands or in the wrong place, this agenda item was added to see what preventative measures could be put in place. So in past years, we've received our documents on purple paper. There's some councillors present that will remember that, and they'll be distributed at the end, at the beginning with time to read, and then corrected at the end. I'm not sure what other measures could be put in place.
Well, obviously you've mentioned the code of conduct. Obviously it needs to be maybe some sort of reaffirmation of GDPR as well. Everyone who was a councillor is still subject to GDPR, even if they leave the council. So if they breach that, somebody could report them to the Information Commissioner. So it's actually for the individual council risk.
Thank you, Sharon, that's very helpful to know. So obviously, as Karen's just said, the other alternative is to review our code of conduct and either reaffirm anything that's already currently in there or add maybe some extra preventative measures going forward. Do members have any views on this? Councillor D'Souza.
I mean, what we do in private industry, we have to sign like compacts and things to say we've done GDPR, we've done anti-bribery, we've done all these training courses. So maybe that's the training need for all of us and something we can do.
Around data protection, GDPR, and
yes.
governance,
Yeah.
confidentiality. Councillor
Would
Dale.
it just not be easier to print it on purple paper, give it out and collect it? And then we know if you give 10 out, you collect 10 in. That way.
Councillor Bond.
Yeah, and it's strange because at my previous place of work, which unfortunately is not a very good example when it comes to admin and bureaucracy, but they used pink paper and they did exactly the same. So it was pink paper, so everyone knew that you don't take pink papers out of the room or whatever cover it might be, and you're given time to read it beforehand in the same way you described. The only downside to that really is if it is sensitive, and you need to think about what the issue is, you don't perhaps have time to fully discuss it because you're only seeing it for the first time. But that's a common way of dealing with it and is as good as any.
Any further comments? Councillor Ashby.
Well, it's just, on that point, it's a really good point. If it's a confidential issue that needs a lot of debate and consideration, how can you do that instantly?
Yeah.
And sorry, I'd like to be treated as a grown-up. If I'm told certain things are confidential, then as an elected member, I'll ensure that I keep that confidentiality. And if I'm told at the end of my term or whatever that I need to destroy anything, I'll destroy them.
So you're leaning towards something in policy that reaffirms that. once
Yeah,
you're no longer a member-
and if we are, as Dom said, all correctly trained, and we reach that, well, it's down on the individuals now.
Professional responsibility.
Yeah, but you can maybe have a confidentiality policy so that people are clear, and if they're in, you know, being sort of a part of making that policy, you're invested.
Well, in fairness, we're probably overdue a standing orders review committee meeting anyway. because of our-
Just what I was gonna say, can we not put this to standing orders and did it with you?
Councillor Taylor, you have your hand
I
up.
would say if that's, if Councillor McKinnon is making that proposal, send it to the standing orders committee, I would second that.
Okay,
Yeah, I will make that a proposal then, that we allow standing orders to review it and see what we've got. And if we think there's a training issue, then we will perhaps suggest to council that they get training for all councillors.
thank you very much. And can I have a show of hands, please? That is also unanimous. Item 15, environment additional committee members. So this is not to review our existing committee members, we're keeping all of those. This is to add additional committee members. In view of the fact that at the last Environment Committee meeting, we had some very well written reports from Councillor Westby. So I was hoping that he would maybe put himself forward, or someone else would nominate him for the professional expertise. And Councillor Dell and Councillor McKinnon have also expressed an interest. So are there any members, if you just put your hand up if you would like to join, and then if we could maybe have
Good thing there, because it's on.
I've been twisted already.
there we go, so that's 3 members. That's Councillor Dale, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Ashby. And oh, sorry, Councillor Westby, yes, corrected. Sorry, apologies. And that would have been really upsetting, especially as that's the one that I just led with. Can we please have a proposer and seconder for the Councillor Ashby, seconded by Councillor D'Souza for their appointment to the Environment Committee, please, and a show of hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 16, this is London Road fencing. As we'll all know, we had the fence installed, it was not to the satisfactory standard. As such, we have additional quotes now to redo the works. Very disappointing. Councillor Westby, is there anything that you would like to add to
The
this?
proposals to take down what's there and put a new one back in,
Yes, yes.
clean sheet.
Have, in your professional opinion, is there a preferred contractor?
That-
Did you have a preference?
They all seem competent. I mean, it's clear from here, I mean, 21 intermediate posts, I think. There are 3 before.
I know that one of them, which is it JB Colley?
Yeah.
Is that one end that's undertaking work at Grovesley
They're
Park?
doing the tennis court, and they're
I
also,
don't know we had any experience of any of them.
Yeah, so they're undertaking some work for us at present.
that's their bread and butter, that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
their main job, and they looked at London Road. And
Yeah.
Councillor Taylor?
Although I have nothing against the work that they're already undertaking for us, I'm just mindful that we do have one that is actually quite local, whereas they're actually head offices in Scotland and Hampshire. So I do feel sometimes we should be promoting our local businesses and supporting our local businesses. So personally, I prefer KM Services. I don't know the person, but he is local. There's not much difference in the price in between, but personally I do think sometimes we do overlook the local person, and I just think Scotland and Hampshire are, which is the headers on the bottom of their paper. Probably other one is a bit. So with that in mind, I would go for the KM Services.
Councillor Ashby?
Just to echo what Councillor Taylor said, I think we need to be mindful, as well as other things, but mindful of supporting local business. I've had the services of KM Services 17 years ago, and it's still standing solid. I think
It's been longer than the current one, hasn't it?
Well, can I propose KM Services then?
I'll
Yeah.
second.
Seconded by councillor Westby, and a show of hands, please. That's also unanimous. Well, I rolled tonight, aren't we? Item 17, that is Church Wall to agree the tender, which is in your pack. This come before the Environment Committee at their last meeting. And options 2 and 3 from the report given by councillor Westby were the options that have been reflected in the tender, which was the recommendation of the committee. Councillor Westby.
Slightly concerned that we're jumping the gun a little bit on this because it's almost certainly listed.
So we need to get
We need to get approval first before we
Okay.
start going down the route. There's no desperate rush to get it done.
Okay, so
It looks a mess, but it's not going to fall over. been
defer
like it.
pending approval.
It's been like it for donkey's years.
Councillor S. Taylor.
So we're going to engage with the conservation officer and the faculty for the church.
Yeah.
Liaise with both.
Yeah. And then bring this back.
Yeah.
Following
Yeah.
those discussions.
No, when I suggested putting the compressible material behind, it might be that that's not acceptable. It's an engineering solution, but whether it's acceptable in that exact context is another matter.
Okay, yeah.
We want to be pricing something that's actually buildable.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Sensible suggestion. Are you happy to make that proposal?
Yeah.
And a seconder, councillor Ashby, and show of hands, please. Thank you.
Is that what you then, sorry?
Councillor, yes.
Yeah.
It was. Okay, item 18 to repair the tennis court fence. In the pack, we have one quote for this, which is obviously the contractor that's on site and is installing the nets for us. Because they'd obviously observed that there was an issue and had offered to price for it. So Anne said, well, if you're there and you'd like to submit a quote, I'll pass it on for members' consideration. We can accept this quote, we can leave as is, or we can explore getting additional quotes. But it was just that they were on site and undertaking work at Bow Park. Councillor Bond.
Yeah, as they're on site and they're doing other work, the idea of lumping it all together, if you like, something does go wrong or whatever, and having that overall approach is sensible. I suggest that we accept the quote and get the work done.
Anyone else? Councillor D'Souza?
It seems a bit high, doesn't it, for just is it just, am I looking at it right, it's just the hole that's been repaired, or is it the whole fence?
And did we give any more additional context to it? I think it's just
I think it's just the repair work.
to repair.
Nearly £1,000.
Remove and replace.
Yeah.
We can do it down to-
And that's what it says with you.
They're going back in green.
They're gonna
Yeah.
replace the new,
They're effectively taking one panel out
Yeah.
between the posts, I think.
Yeah.
replace.
They're not actually sort of stitching up the hole, but they're just the whole panel out. It does seem a lot of money.
Just maybe in order to get a couple more quotes, I don't know what the sort of fee would be, but I mean, having looked at that and seeing how many times it's been repaired or how many times the kids have damaged it, it's a lot of public money, isn't it?
Ask the KM people to,
Yeah,
as an
that's
alternative
sensible.
as
Yeah.
they're going to be working like it as well.
And are we happy for that to go back to environment in 2 weeks' time as well?
That's what I was then just going to propose.
Yeah, I think that'd be, because they're on site at present, so I think we don't want to cause like, do you mean, significant delays? But I think it would be wise to seek alternative pricing. So is that a proposal? Proposed by councillor D'Souza, seconded by councillor Ashby, and a show of hands, please. Next is councillor reports. Does anyone have anything to report? Councillor Taylor.
Last week, myself and councillor T Taylor both attended the local plan briefing at Breckland. Actually, it was a really productive afternoon, 3 hours. But my main concern that has come out of it is that this council has not reviewed its neighbourhood plan. And whilst Breckland are reviewing their local plan, if there's anything within our neighbourhood plan that we want adopted into their review, or our review into their review, actually that does give us a greater say with the local plan. So I am really mindful and quite concerned that we are not undertaking our review. It is long overdue. We spent over £100,000 of taxpayers' money putting a neighbourhood plan together. And if we don't act like really quick, like within the next couple of weeks and start our review, getting it advertised and sold in, we won't meet the deadline to interject with their local plan. So I would urge all members to really consider where we move next with this and how quickly we move on it. But a lot of the stuff that came out of what Breckland were talking about was really positive. We looked at some of the strategic planning issues, and we have another briefing tomorrow that's 3.5 hours. So I may bring you an update from that one next time we meet.
Councillor Bond?
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you, councillor Taylor. Is there a way that it can be disseminated to us so that, not necessarily 3.5 hours, but in a way that, you know, the overall approach and what's affecting the town, so we can get a grip of it rather than just a few people?
I will see if we can engage with someone maybe to engage with the office, if there's any notes that are passable. I will, if I can get them to.
And I also agree with the local plan. I think
It's got to be done. 100%.
we've got to think,
quickly.
we've got to think about the approach as
Okay.
well, because.
If I may, I'm just going to let Sharon say a few words.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that funnily enough, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did attend the neighbourhood plan review seminar. It wasn't with Breckland, but it basically explained the whole process and the options that you have. And also the locality funding is now open for applications. So if you did make a decision to go ahead with the review, you would then just apply for locality funding, and then you could actually engage a consultant. So therefore, then the burden isn't placed upon you as councillors to conduct that review. That funding is available.
Could you prepare something for next month's agenda?
Well, Councillor Taylor, can I come in and ask if we could have a small EGM, maybe before the Environment Committee, a 10-minute meeting, if that's just like an administrative thing that we would need to vote on, because I am so mindful of the fact that it was £100,000 we spent on this, and we're going to miss the boat.
Would you think that would be sufficient for you to put something together on this?
I could probably do it in a few days.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, if you're confident.
Yeah.
And it takes 2 members to call for an EGM, so is there someone else that would like to? It doesn't take a motion, councillor McKinnon, so councillor Sam Taylor and councillor Sue McKinnon have made a formal request for an EGM prior to
I
environment.
think my question earlier was going to be, are we going to employ a consultant to review this, or are we going to try and do it?
I think it would be, if we tried to do it ourselves, I think we'd probably be a little bit out of budget at this stage. And I just think my personal view is that we don't pursue this, then everything today is going to waste the time, the effort, the money. So that's just my feeling. But of course, we're now going to have an EGM. So thank you very much for that. Councillor McKinnon, was there something that you?
Yeah, just because I totally agree with you, but do we know which budget it will come out of? Is there funding to pay for the consultants, or are we relying on?
If you apply to locality first, you get it, and then you worry about whether you need to pay for it afterwards. But
there might be some funding available.
Fine, thank you. That's all I wanted to.
Was there something that you wanted to report on as well? Because did your hand go up for councillors' reports?
No, I was only going to say, a little while ago, I did email all councillors to suggest that we get half a dozen of us or so together to support the quiz at the lighthouse. Councillor Sam Taylor rightly said that we would need council permission to represent the council. We have indeed got 6 people together, one of which is Andy, who is an ex-councillor, so not the full, because there was no other responses from the councillors. So we will be entering as individuals, but we hope you will be holding up the end of the town council at this quiz and chips.
But you're attending in your individual.
We're attending in our individual capacities, because we are including an ex-councillor. They're not going to be all councillors. There is 5 of us from the council. But I was just very mindful that I wanted to put the invitation out to all councillors and not to do it.
Well, it would be, if you could report next month and let us know what a
But
fantastic
we've
time
won.
you have.
Yeah, see ya.
then that would be very welcomed. Brief report, myself and Ed yesterday, popped down to Woodfest to show some civic support. And I just actually wanted to feedback on how amazing it was. Like on my arrival, I was not expecting it to be on the scale that it was. You could tell so much work and time and effort had gone into it. And if anyone did go, you will understand what I'm saying, but it was 10 out of 10. I honestly think we're very lucky as a council to have the FunFest team working to deliver things like this in our community. So yeah, that was brilliant. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to say before we move on? Okay.
Well, just carrying on the Fun Fest sort of idea, and at the top of the meeting with Brecon District Council and officers talking about that you know, we need to get our heads together with Fun Fest team there as well, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's some good ideas.
Pass it on to if they've got anything that they'd like to do. Yeah, honestly, I was expecting it to be good, but it was just fantastic. So I think they're going to try and make it an annual event. So if you didn't go this year, certainly something. It was at Gamers Meadow, and honestly, it was amazing. Yeah. Cannot speak highly enough of it. Moving on, we have correspondence, which is a request for a possible funeral ceremony to be held in the town hall. Again, this was deferred. It's come back with further information. Last time, I think there was a question of whether or not it was a one-off or if it was something they wanted to do, not on a permanent basis, but something that could be done again and again. This correspondence does confirm that in this instance, it's for one individual, but off the back of that, they are mindful that there isn't somewhere that offers a service like this within the town. And it would be welcomed. So, do members have any views on this?
Did we have to get it licensed? Did anybody investigate the license? We don't need to have a license.
No. So a license isn't required. It's just whether or not we're in agreement that we would allow it. Councillor S. Taylor.
I actually feel quite responsible for this coming back because it went until I got home afterwards. I actually remember my friend actually had a non-religious service at Connaught Hall for her husband many years ago, and because she didn't want a religious service, and that it was allowed and it was possible there. And maybe if I'd have gave you that information before I got home, we wouldn't be discussing it again tonight. So I will apologise for that. But because there's no licence and no fee and no cost to ourselves. It's just like any other, we'd hire it for a birthday or a christening. Yeah, I don't see any issue in hiring it for something else. That is a proposal.
The only thing I would just query is the music licensing, although the person who wrote this said about a music license isn't required. That isn't my experience in helping to run a village hall, because the village hall had to have a certain music license. And I can't remember what it is, but I could look into it. But I think we just need to double check that.
I'll second the proposal.
Okay, so we have a proposal to accept the request, and is it for this one? For this one instance, just to be very clear on that. So Councillor Taylor, seconded by Councillor Ashby, that we agree on this one occasion to allow it. And I was going to say, Councillor Ashby beat you to it, but can we have a show of hands, please, everybody? And we're all in agreement, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is grant requests. So we have two this evening. So the first is item 21A, Hope for Tomorrow small grant request. Any comments, members?
I could make a comment as someone who spent 7 years running backwards and forwards to the hospital with my husband, to have had a van in Africa where I could have taken him and saved many, many hours of travelling, parking, stress on him. I would have given every penny I've got for that. So, if we have the funds, I would wholeheartedly support this one.
We do have obviously enough left in our grants budget. I don't know how much is left in the grants budget, but I know there is enough.
Sorry, may I just say as well, that they're not here tonight, but Carol and Brian,
Yeah.
she is actually having her treatment in the bus that comes to Attleborough
Is
as
this
well.
what we've got at present? No? Okay, so. Okay. Oh, I haven't took that into consideration.
No, that's only, yeah.
Okay. So there is enough for this one. I didn't lie, I told the truth. But we are then skimping for the next one. So this is what we have remaining at present is £1,701. Because although in our financial reports that we receive, it says that there's 12,999, that hasn't took into consideration the five, that's what's spent today, is it? Yeah, that's what's spent today. That hasn't took into consideration the £5,000 to the Christmas lights at the last meeting, or the £300 for the St Mary's. So once you take both of those figures into consideration, that then leaves us with £1,701 remaining, and that's for this financial year, isn't it?
We've still got 6 months to go.
And we've still got 6 months to go. Councillor Ashby.
Just on that point, from that first meeting, I think it was in May, I've been really uncomfortable with this because it's just not well organised. The policy and
the budget.
funding, the budget, that just doesn't complement each other. It's But, we've had the conversation before, and you said we can't do anything about it.
Well, we can't change the budget. Once the budget's set, the budget is set. We could change the policy, but the only problem is we've then dangled a carrot out to the public, and certain groups have benefited from that, and I feel like then others could be left short. But it's a decision for the council to make. But the policy can be changed, the budget cannot, but it can be reviewed next year, and we can precept for it accordingly, and we can budget accordingly to make sure that there is enough funds put aside. But it's,
you could give contribution.
yes, which is something that has been raised before, so it's entirely up to you. And of course, we can also go over budget, but it's just not, it's not advisable, it's not something that we really want to be edging into, especially when we've still got 6 months to go. I feel like that could then be a real way to spend. Councillor Dale.
I would like to say, give as much as we can to this, having had a relation who has used this, not in this area in London, and the difference it made to him and his wife. Yeah, I would give what you can.
Is that proposal?
Yes.
I would second that proposal, because obviously, it sounds brutal. That will probably benefit more of our community than the Bowls Club, but no disrespect to the Bowls Club.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, but if you're taking numbers on board, the Bowls Club is a small pool of people, whereas the cancer care will probably outweigh those numbers. And also, I think that when we are reviewing how we give money, we give large donations to the same groups every year. And that maybe needs to be we need to spread the love a little bit.
Or take that into consideration so that we know that there's enough for alternatives as well. Councillor Bond.
Yeah, I think as Councillor Ashby, I was worried that it would come first served. But I think we can review the budget in this year, and along with other occasions that come in, we can then assess, so that we can review it, so we're more in step with what will come in and what's available for the budget. As regards this one, I think the councillor mobile is valid, and I would go for the full amount because it's £1,000. I think that's sensible. As far as the other one concerned, I agree with you, perhaps the contributions in order. They're trying to build it up, it is on the community, but certainly this is more important, I think, and more worthwhile.
So we have a proposal from councillor Dale to give the full amount of £1,000. That's been seconded by councillor Taylor. Can I please have a show of hands?
1,060 actually.
Oh, 1,060, sorry. Can I have a show of hands, please? And that's unanimous as well. Thank you. And then moving on to item 21B, which is the Ladies and Gamers Bowls large grant request. We now have just shy of £700 left in the budget. Councillor Taylor.
And I'm going to be controversial here. I would propose that we give them whatever is left, but if there's a surplus from the book sale, make it up to £1,000 from the takings from the book sale. So they're getting £1,000 as well.
I'll second that. It's a good.
So the remainder of the budget and any proceeds from the book sale that would round that up to £1,000.
Can I just, sorry, no, I was just gonna say, if we give them reduced amount this year, this is obviously a long ongoing project. There's nothing that says they cannot apply next year when we've got our better budgeting in place for grant applications. So a small contribution now, as you say, £1,000 would be enough to sort of kickstart, but tell them that they are welcome to reapply next year when we've got more budget.
I think that's very sensible suggestion. Councillor Bond?
Yeah, I think in addition to that, and we'll be mindful of any match funding as well, when we put that in, so that, that they're not just relying on anything.
Would they not?
Sorry.
Would they not meet the criteria for the Love Your Market Town grants?
I don't know if that's meant to be for the benefit of the wider community.
It is a new project.
It may well do. We can perhaps send something over to them, but I think that's meant to be for the benefit of the wider community. I'm not sure. I think in the first instance, we so far have a sensible proposal with giving them the remainder of the budget, proceeds from the book sale up to a total of them rounded up to £1,000, and one corresponding with them, just make them aware that next year we'll have a new grants budget and there's nothing stopping them from reapplying. Does anyone have anything to add to that? And was that your whose proposal? Was it?
Seconded.
Councillor S. Taylor, seconded by Councillor B. Dale, and a show of hands, please, everybody.
Before we close the item, can I just ask that maybe we do some promotion on our social media saying that our grants funding is now closed for the rest of the year? Because otherwise we're going to have people applying for funds we have.
When does the year start? Is it January?
April, So, sorry. The budget is now empty. People can still apply and we can still go over budget, or would members like to close our grant applications until May? Councillor Bond.
I think, as suggested by Councillor Taylor, we should put out saying that we won't be allowing money to go out, but we can still receive applications and it'll be reviewed for the next financial year.
I think that sounds sensible. Are members in agreement?
Is that, sorry, that then give us an idea when we're budgeting for the next financial year.
So we're still accepting applications, but
there will be no funding
in next year's budget. Okay. Councillor Bond, is that a proposal from yourself? Seconded by Councillor Ashby, and can I have a show of hands, please? That's unanimous again. Item 22 on the agenda, public participation. Again, we have 10 minutes, so if anyone would like to add, please feel free. Anyone? Yes.
Not what I was going to talk about when I arrived at the meeting, but listening to everything that's been going on, we'll ask a couple of questions about that, okay? One about the grant applications, two questions on now. One, what was the budget for this year, please?
£20,000.
And you talk about your proposal there, I wonder whether it might be sensible to pause applications, because organisations, if they're applying, want to get on with something. So if we manage their expectations and say, we're going to pause applications until first of January, and the checkbook will be open on the 1st of May, might be better for organisations that are looking to apply to it. Comment. And secondly, points that Sharon was making about the ANP and the local plan. Can I ask how that's been allowed to drift so long?
The neighbourhood plan.
The ANP,
yeah.
and the possibility of £100,000 worth of public money going up in smoke because for whatever reason we're not.
I honestly would not
Inside
have
of
the
what's
answer
going
for
on.
you. Unfortunately, I don't. I feel like it's just one of those things that has the council as a whole just hasn't maybe carried it forward and been as proactive in undertaking its review as we maybe should have been. But I think it is very much,
But it's a
it is
huge
on
amount
our
of money and
radar.
a hugely important part of the town going forward, isn't it?
I agree.
Can I just say that it's not money wasted. We have been, you know, it hasn't happened. The review needed to be done, well, like now. But with it being in place, it has made a positive contribution to the local plan. So we have got money, it has got value, so it has been worth putting in place and having, because it has informed local developments, the Sue, for example. It has influenced the local plan, and that's influenced the new iteration of the local plan. A lot of this is to do with the planning process and the fact that everything takes so long. So if you're not careful, you're out of step. We managed to get into the last local plan, but now the new local plan is happening. You've got to make sure that the new local plan fits in with the new enabling plan fits in with the new local
It
plan.
sounded like you were about to miss the boat.
We need to be working in tangent, and I think that's where we
But the basic premise of what was in the local plan holds good, and that hasn't fallen, so it hasn't been wasted.
Okay, not completely wasted.
No.
But we've had another.
And as well, other elements like the health aspect, there's some real momentum behind that at the moment, and good things are happening. Councillor
I think
Taylor.
my fear is, it's not so much maybe the word new is a little, it's not a new local plan. We're revisiting and like revising the local plan. And you do have to take on board, while I'm saying like we've spent all of this money, these plans now will work till 2043. Although so they'll be feeding into development for the considerable future. So it's never going to be, it won't, obviously, it's a work in progress. So don't think that if we're going to do this review and in 3 years' time, that's it, it's done, finished. It's not, it's a very long-term project. My fear was that Bradland has already started their review. If we don't get our review done and anything that our community want to put into our neighbourhood plan, which actually does have some sway over Bradland's local plan, we will miss the boat to have that sway. We'll miss the boat to get those
Very much published
things
there.
in. Oh yeah, they're already doing that, and we get emails regularly. I'm just mindful that we did spend an awful lot of taxpayers' money, and we're 2 steps behind.
Is there any other did you have any other questions? Is that it? You first, sir.
Going back to the London Road fencing. So I believe from last month, council spent about £2,000.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was about £4,000.
And then we've had an additional fine being spent on this. What's the total cost of the money that's been unnecessarily spent?
Well, the unnecessary spend would only be the spend to date. Because obviously we're having that work redone. But I don't have the figures in front of me at the moment, but if you pop something into the office, like an email, I'm sure that Anne or Paul or Sharon can get back to you with that.
And say, please, someone let me know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anne, is that okay? Sorry, can you ping an email to Mr. Smith, giving him the cost breakdown for the fence at London Road today?
What the one that we have done by the
Installed.
initial
Yeah.
contract,
And
what we
then,
actually spent.
so the cost spent to date through that contractor, and then the costs that have been agreed this evening, please.
Yeah. Can we get this email?
Anne has it on
You've
file.
done it, yeah.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
Not by heart.
The neighbourhood plan, I thought the council, the Brecon Council was supposed to follow that.
And that would stop all this development that's happening ad lib all around the town. And the idea of the neighbourhood plan was to stop that. But it hasn't made any difference to that development whatsoever. They've just built willy-nilly all over the town. And the 4,500 houses that are going to be up Hudson Road don't take into account the 1,000 probably odd that have been built all over the town. That was supposed to stop.
A neighbourhood plan doesn't have the remit to prevent housing from being built. It's more of a place-making exercise. So, no neighbourhood plan in the whole country would have the ability to have a policy where you can stop any housing. So that isn't its aim. Its aim is to place shape. So you create policies to improve the environment. But if you're clever, you can, there are ways and means where you can create policies where it would probably prove difficult. You just can't have a policy where you stop housing being built.
But you're right, the planning authority should take it into consideration. It should bear some weight.
Yeah, they should, whatever policies you have should be taken into consideration, especially if your neighbourhood plan is more current than the local plan.
Because they're basically rough riding through that, aren't they, by building 1,199 houses and not building the road out of the town.
Councillor S. Taylor.
I'm going to say, please don't start me on Homes England and their 1,199 houses. Councillor Ashby, I think we're definitely 100% on the same page, as is Councillor Fraser and Councillor Taylor. And I actually did have conversations with Simon Wood when we was at the neighbourhood plan briefing last week, because I was slightly concerned that Homes England didn't come back and do their consultation on the square. They were supposed to do 2 and they only done 1. So I'm hoping, I know I definitely will be putting pressure on Homes England. I think we're all that we will be, and looking at that.
Well, having employed Megan to look after all this, I hope we're not going to be presented in the next few weeks. We've got a wonderful linear path on a closed road down White Horse Lane, and what a wonderful job they're doing.
Point taken,
It's
sir.
costing me 7,000 quid.
Is that, I'm not trying to be dismissive. I think we all appreciate the sentiments that you're putting forward. Unfortunately, I just don't think we have the answers here with us tonight. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring to our attention?
Not today.
Not tonight.
Before you
Okay.
close public participation, I actually, when I spoke about the local company and the fencing company, I do not recognise the name and I do not recognise the address. But I know sometimes these things come back to haunt us when members of the public walk in the room and go, "Ooh, so-and-so said this." I don't recognise the names, but it is possible I do know them.
Okay, point taken, noted. Okay, so if no one else has anything else to add in public participation, it's item 23. Any items the chairman decides are urgent, there are none. So is there anything that anyone would like to add? Going once, going twice? Meeting closed. Thank you so much, everybody.
Well, thank you, Chair. Yeah.
Yeah.